Yeah. So I made the best like bean, quinoa, zucchini, onion deliciousness. Okay.
Oh, hi everybody. We're just talking about food right now. Like
That's
one of
right.
our favorite topics. Food, exercise. No, actually, sorry, that's the food, fitness, family, friends, and all the other things that start with F. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But we're here. We are here on another Tuesday of these live streams. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Griselda, founder of Be Game Ready here in Los Angeles. We do these live streams every Tuesday, and we do kind of these reaction to videos. And for the month of, or what month are we in? June?
June.
June. Oh my God. For the month of June, we're working on flexibility. Another F word.
Another
Yeah.
F. Another favorite F word.
Yes. So then here joining me is one of my favorite people in the world, Miss India. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Love that. Hi. Yes. You should all be familiar with me by now if you watch these videos or familiar with Be Game Ready at all. I'm India. My role in these is finding the subjects of our videos, and I'm just having a ball of a time. Because one aspect of my personal self-expression is research.
She loves research.
I love
She
research.
loves nerding out on research too.
Oh, it's so great. Okay, so what are we doing this week? So yeah, as Griselda said, for the month of June, we're moving into pioneers in the world of flexibility. And flexibility is so great because it's such an integral part of the construction of the human body, like how the body is actually, evolved. Flexibility, the movement of the joints in their sockets, range of motion is like a key element of what allows the body to move through space. And yet it is very often goes completely unexamined or ignored in the world of health and fitness in general. And so it's been so fun to be going through different movement techniques and methodologies that have been created over the years that are specifically designed to increase the body's flexibility. And this week, we are going into discovering animal flow, which is something that I think I had heard of peripherally, but had no idea what it was. And I have had so much fun discovering animal flow, and I can't wait to share it with you this week. It's awesome. Okay. So as always, we do a little background about the person who is responsible for this thing's existence. And so this week we are looking at Mike Fitch. And unlike a lot of the subjects and methods that we have researched on this live stream in the past, this is a really, really recent addition to the rapid and amazing expanding world of health and fitness. So Mike Fitch, he was born in 1980, and he's from Colorado, I believe. He spent the majority of his early career as a personal trainer, and he was specifically using popular weight training techniques that we all are really familiar with. So like free weights and kettlebells and like Olympic lifting techniques. And then he was doing that in the very beginning of his career when he first started out. And then in his early 30s, his interest shifted into the body weight disciplines of resistance training and strength training. And so, we looked at that, in our past, so calisthenics and all of that. He got really interested in all different forms of body weight training. So he started out with gymnastics, and then he trained in parkour, which in the US is called free running, I think. And then he moved into break dancing and hand balancing. And as he was developing these practices and discovering these practices, he became really interested in what he saw as a common thread that ran through all body weight discipline. And for him, he called that the use of animal movements. It's what he called them. And this emphasis on the flowing from one move to another, really creating an animalistic flow in the body. And so he's not the first person to really incorporate the idea of animal movement in fitness. He doesn't claim that he did that or anything like that. What he did was he created a systemized program that makes these movements really easy to learn for people at any age and any skill level. So he really just kind of codified it into a really specific fitness programming. So he uniquely combined these animal movement patterns and other body weight focused movements. And in an interview with Insider Magazine, he said that when I was creating the system, I was trying to figure out how we can get the most benefit from the physical body. That was like his goal, just the most benefit. And according to him, the goal of the animal flow technique is to use the movements to improve the connection, function, and communication of the human animal. And I just love that. Y'all know how much I love like the animal and animalness of it. So animal flow is what we call a ground-based movement system. And it really does put an emphasis on flow and movement, which, as we're looking at flexibility, it has been shown, and there's still ongoing studies that are continuing to show that animal flow specifically is incredible for increasing flexibility, but alongside stability and strength. So that's what we're going to do today.
Yay. I'm excited. I love animal flow. I incorporate some of animal flow movements into my training program for my clients. Some of you might know it as like quadriplegic training, quadriplegic movement, but it's all animal flow.
Animal flow.
Yeah. So as India is going through this workout, I'm going to be managing the tech. So if you guys are tuning in and watching, whether it's live or in a recording, please follow the link so that you can, so that your name profile picture can show up, and then we can give you a shout out, because we love when people are here and watching this with us. Okay.
Yes, we do. Okay, here we go.
Let me turn on.
And this is him himself. This is Mike Fitch leading this.
Yes, yes.
Founder of Animal Flow.
Just make sure. Okay, here we go.
Now, while we're doing this, we want to make sure that we stay out of painful ranges. So if we have a particular angle that feels a little bit pinchy or maybe a little bit uncomfortable, we're going to cut the movement just shy of that discomfort. We're looking for as much fluidity in the transition from one hand rolling around the other, and we're just making sure that we're continuously breathing during these wrist moves. Go ahead and switch directions.
I'm already calm.
Now, we always recommend that you begin and end every animal flow session with your wrist mobilizations. We do have a long duration wrist mob video that you can find here. It's about 15 minutes, which has a lot of hand and wrist preparation.
My wrists
We also
are not the strongest. I can feel lots of cracking and popping and gases being released.
So from here, we're going to go into
I also have
a
messed up wrist from pull, so I'm definitely feeling that in this.
We'll initiate the wave with the right elbow. As we lift, that transitions through the same side wrist, through the hands to the opposite wrist, and eventually to the opposite elbow.
Oh, wow. I love how isolated it is.
Again, keeping the palms down, thinking about a nice fluid wave going from the elbow lift through the wrist, through the hands, the opposite wrist, and eventually out to the opposite elbow.
This is definitely a breakdancing, hip hop type of movement, which is what I love.
For this one, we'll just simply switch directions. So you may find that you have a direction that seems less connected or clunkier than the opposite direction.
This side is way clunkier. If that's the case,
feel free to spend more time in the direction that feels a little bit more disconnected.
I like how he uses the word disconnected.
Yeah.
That's such a perfect way to describe what's going on, right? It's simply a weaker, you could say, connection, neuromuscular connection.
And from here, we're just going to go into what we call a lateral opening or a lateral wrist movement. So what we're looking for is a sensation of opening on the outside of the wrist.
What is
so
this for me?
Fingers
in
together,
my wrist.
Palms down, thumbs together, bringing our thumbs in towards our chest. Elbows are out to the side. So what I'm looking for again is a sensation of opening here. So as I drive away, I want to keep the palms down.
I'm gonna put the
If I
volume up
bring my
because
palms
what he's
forward,
saying
I've
is very
changed
valuable.
mobilization. So I
Oh,
drive the thumbs together,
wow.
palms down. If I can't fully extend the elbows or straighten the elbows, it's okay.
That's
and then back in. So
amazing.
we're just gonna do about 5 of these. So drive away,
That is so,
Back
so precise.
and drive away.
Amazing.
And last 2.
Wow.
And for the last mobilization, we're actually just our wrist relief position. So because we're going to be spending so much time on our hands in what's known as extension, anytime you're feeling discomfort or you're feeling a little bit too much fatigue, just find this position, which means fingers down, back of the hands together, elbows out to the side. If I want to intensify this stretch, I can always bring the elbows down, again, keeping the back of the hands in contact with each other. So find this position if you're feeling too much stress in your wrists. I also do want to mention, if this is one of your first classes, remember, we will be spending the entire class on our hands. So if you need to take a break at any time, pause the video and then jump back in when you're ready. Your body will
like
adapt
that
with more
caveat.
exposure to this
Your
practice.
body will
Body
adapt.
will
So let's take it down to the floor. You guys ready to get started? All right. So
I love it.
again, I'm going to demonstrate the flow first, and then we'll start breaking it down, building the movements.
Oh yeah, he's doing a kick sit. And he's
dear
doing a bridge.
What?
And then he's doing a kind of child's pose to a downward dog, to a Spider-Man,
Wow.
to another kick sit, to another child's pose.
One of the things
Okay,
they
so
mentioned
that's
is
the
how
entire flow. We're
aesthetically
just going to alternate
pleasing
that to each side.
it is.
So the first movement that you saw was something we call a jumping under switch. And we did the jumping under switch, and it transitions into a crab reach. So let's first learn the
Crab
jumping under switch.
reach.
So in order to do that, we're going to set crab facing this direction.
Okay. Well, this is going to be hard with my headphones.
We're going to place the hands with the fingers pointing behind us. We're going to place the feet hip
behind
width.
us.
The hands are shoulder width or slightly wider. We're going to slide our hips all the way towards the heels, slide the hips all the way towards the hands, find the midpoint between those 2 points, shoulder blades back, drive them down, lifting the hips roughly 1 inch from the ground. From here, we're going to bring our gaze from the horizon to the rising sun. So as if the sun has just broken over the horizon, we're bringing our eyes up, tilting our head back just slightly. So this is our crab position. You guys hang out here for a second. If I were to do a left leg jumping under switch, it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going from crab to crab. Go ahead and relax. So from here, if I want to perform a jumping under switch, I need to lift the call out foot. So if I call out left leg jumping under switch, I simultaneously lift left foot and right hand. So let's just alternate between those a couple times, guys. So set crab. If I were to call out left leg jumping under switch, you lift left foot, right hand, bring it back down. If I were to call out right leg jumping under switch, you lift right foot, left hand, bring it back down. Okay, let's alternate. Left leg jumping under switch, lift. Back to crab. Right leg
Smaller
jumping under
lift,
switch,
India.
lift.
Just
Back
off the
to
ground.
crab. Left leg jumping under switch, lift. Back to crab. Right leg
Yeah, there we
jumping
go.
under switch, lift. Back
Yeah,
to crab.
yeah.
Okay, so now that we're ready, now that we know what we call our contralateral limb lift, all that means is we're lifting the opposite hand and foot. So if I were to call out left leg jumping under switch, the actual jumping under switch means that I'm going to lift the foot and the hand and jump into the rotation. But if this is your first class, that might be a little bit too pro. So what we're going to do is the regression of a jumping. Go ahead and set crab again. Join me on this. If I call out left leg jumping under switch, I'm going to lift left foot, right hand. I'm going to push on the gas. That means lifting the right heel. As I begin to rotate, I'm going to simply jump to the left foot and float the right foot. Now, all I have to do is take the right foot through the window that I've just created.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, let's reposition, guys.
Exactly.
So again, we'll do that exact same thing to the right side, so set crab. Let's go right leg jumping under switch, so lift right foot, left hand, push on the gas, begin to rotate, now jump to right foot, floating left foot, which can now transition.
Yeah, go India.
Okay, so we're just going to alternate those. So set crab. Left leg jumping under switch, lift, push on the gas. Begin to rotate, jump to the left foot, taking the right foot through the window. From here, let's go right leg jumping under switch, lift, push on the gas, jump to right foot, pause, take the leg through the window.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
and relax, guys. So one little tip I want to layer on there. Whenever we jump to the foot, take a glance with your eyes down at the foot that you're landing on. We want to make sure that the toes are pointing towards the same side wrist. So we don't want to jump and land on an already rotated foot, meaning here. I want to make sure the toes are towards the knee, which is pointing towards the wrist. All right, so let's continue to alternate between those two. Set crab. Left leg jumping under switch.
And if you notice, everyone,
Right leg jumping under
he's
switch.
not far off the ground, maybe like 5 inches.
Left leg
The
jumping
whole
under
point of
switch.
this is to really stretch and rely on the flexibility
Right leg
of
jumping under
the
switch.
wrist, which is why we did those exercises in the beginning, those stretches.
And relax,
He's
guys.
nice
Cool.
and low to the ground.
So if I'm feeling like I've got a pretty good handle on that, what I may try to do is the actual jumping under switch, which means after I lift the limbs, I'm going to jump into the rotation. So I'm not going to rotate with the foot on the ground. I want to try to leave the ground and then rotate. So, Dana, why don't you stick with the regression? Sasha, you can join me for the jumping under switch. So just remember what that looks like. I lift, and instead of lifting just the heel, I'm actually going to jump off the entire foot and rotate.
Whoa!
Okay, so if you want the regression, stay with Dane. If you want to take the full jumping under switch, stay with Sasha and I. Okay, set grab. Left leg jumping under switch. Lift, jump 2, take it through.
Wait.
Right leg jumping under switch. Lift, jump 2, take it through.
Yeah,
Left
India.
leg jumping under switch.
Wait, shit.
Right leg jumping under switch.
Oh, nope.
And relax, guys. Just so you know, we are pausing in that modified beast
There
to
we are.
show the proper alignment. But once we get really good at jumping under switches, it is one fluid motion. So if I were to perform a sequence of jumping under switches, so it is that fluid transition from crab to crab. But since we're doing a beginner class, we're focusing on the midpoint. All right, so now let's add in our
Should we keep
crab
going,
reach.
India?
So if I were to perform a right arm crab reach, I would set crab. I would bring my hand up to where I'm looking through the hand, so it's right between my eyes. As I begin to drive the feet down, I drive the hips up. I allow the shoulder to rotate outwardly. What I'm looking for first is what we call three-point bridge. That means it's a full opening of the hip. Once I see that, then I can
It's
go
still
for the
showing,
reach.
right?
But let's practice just getting to
I didn't
three-point
hear you.
bridge.
Just say
So
we
guys,
can stop.
join me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wow. I forgot to turn my lights on. That was so cool.
Dude, it's so much fun.
All right.
I feel like a dancer when I do animal flow.
Dude, yeah, it's very dancey. You could enjoyably do that to some music. Okay, let's run through our criteria real quick. Difficulty level. What fitness level is this exercise appropriate for?
Beginner.
I would say beginner with a caveat. I don't know if a number one, I think it's beginner and also depending on what your particular body health concerns are.
Yeah, I mean, if when we say beginner, we don't mean that you're like completely brand new to fitness. You just don't have like a solid foundation of fitness. But you can do this if you're starting out. Even if you're, a little on the heavier side, I think this is a great way for you to get reconnected to the body and then just modify as needed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And the focus on like listening to the body, and I like how he gives alternate like what he calls like the progressive and the regressive. And I love that recontextualization of that word. Like progressive is, yeah, moving into the progress of the movement. You're progressing it from one movement into the next movement, the movement that naturally progresses from there. And progression and regression is just either it's the forward movement or the movement to the one that came before. I really, really like that because it does allow for, yeah, if you've never done anything like that before, you can focus on, okay, what's the first movement? And get it to where that the body has adapted to that. I love that he said that. And move it into the next. It's really cool. So it's great for beginner, and it's also very clearly progressive. So you can be super advanced and be doing the same movement technically, but just in an advanced way. It's really awesome.
Yes.
Okay, quality of movement.
A plus 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 plus.
Yes. What kind of development is it good for?
Strength as well as flexibility and coordination and balance. But for the purposes of what we're talking about for this month, it really allows you to create flexibility in the joints because he's moving through a lot of different planes. He's using multiple joints at the same time to go through the flow.
Yeah. Multiple joints in multiple planes of movement is like the best way to address flexibility. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. What category of fitness does this workout fit into?
Kind of talked about it, but I mean, for what we're talking about for this month, flexibility in the joints, but it's such good strength building. It's good endurance building because if you do this kind of flow for like 30 minutes straight, like your heart rate is going to go up.
Yeah.
And if you work on the quality of movement, then yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like an all body holistic conditioning, all of it. Like I really like it. Okay, this might become my new favorite thing. We'll just see. Okay, and then what did we enjoy about it? I think we already did that. Any last words about it?
Y'all should know. I guess, but I'm speaking specifically to like dancers, like for those of you who have done breakdancing before or any kind of dancing that is on the floor and requires you to be like on your hands and feet at the same time, you should definitely like get into this. And yeah, this is just such a fun workout. I have my clients do this, even like the ones that are older, so that they can experience what it's like to not just be standing. Like the body has to be able to move and get up from the floor and move through different planes using the different joints.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it. I think I'm going to take this on as the new form of movement training that we're going to put the body through, because it is everything I love, right? It's that connectedness to the body. It's fun and progressive and some people described it as meditative, like many people who've started it. They actually really categorize it more as like this is their meditation practice, which is so cool to consider, that an aspect of meditation is that like inward focus. And what better way to create an inward focus than to focus yourself on that connectedness to what the body's doing as it moves through space in a really like holistic flowing way. So
yeah, if you're somebody that enjoys yoga, I would recommend this as like an alternative.
Definitely. Yeah, or a supplement to your yoga practice.
Yeah,
for sure. They would absolutely complement each other in many ways. Now, all right, well, that's an A+ for me. Heck yeah. So gonna just add this immediately to all the things. Okay, so that was this week. Mike Fitch and Animal Flow. Chriselle's going to do all the techie things to make sure you have the connection to it and the clicks and whatnot. And next week, we are going to take a look at Thomas Myers. And he's all about fascia.
Fascia.
We're getting into the fascia stage of our inquiry, which is a very important thing to be aware of in this day and age if you're interested in flexibility. So
Yes.
tune in next week for sure. We're going to have some fun with Thomas Myers.
All right. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you for continuing to support what we're up to and to follow.